We will now continue Chapter 11. We are now on Slide 10. 11.2 Advantages and Disadvantages of Alternative Policy Approaches to Reducing Pollution. Let's look at some of the environmental standards and the advantages. Enforceable in the courts, compliance mandatory. Some of the disadvantages, across-the-board standards not equally relevant to all businesses. Some businesses pollute more and therefore should have more regulations, some less and should have less. It requires large regulatory apparatus, which costs a lot of money. Older, less efficient plants may be forced to close and can retard innovation because everyone's going to be afraid to innovate lest they be fined for pollution. Let's talk about market-based mechanisms, emission fees and taxes. I'm skipping around. Taxes, bad behavior, pollution rather than good behavior, profits. Fees are hard to set. Taxes may be too low to curb pollution. Companies that say, okay, it's worth it. I'll just raise the price of whatever I'm producing to offset the fines. Information disclosure, government spends little on enforcement, companies able to reduce pollution in most cost-effective way. The disadvantages does not motivate all companies, especially those that are motivated by greed. And civil and criminal enforcement may deter wrongdoing by firms and individuals. However, the downside is it may not deter wrongdoing if the penalties and enforcement efforts are perceived to be weak. We move on to Slide 11. Costs and benefits of environmental regulation. Costs. Manufacturers spend $21 billion on operating costs and $6 billion on capital expenditures annually to comply with environmental regulations. The benefits. The emissions of nearly all pollutants dropped since 1970. Some of the other costs. Some jobs are lost in particularly polluting industries. The benefits. Air and water quality improved. Some toxic waste sites were cleaned up. Health improved. Natural beauty was preserved or enhanced. Some more costs. Competitiveness of some capital-intensive, dirty industries was impaired as a result. Benefits. Jobs were created in the clean economy sectors such as environmental products and services, alternative energy, and tourism. So as with everything, there is a positive and a negative. We move on to Slide 12. Greening of management. Environmental regulations establish minimum standards for environmental performance. Many firms are now voluntarily moving beyond compliance to improve environmental performance in all operational areas. This is referred to as the greening of management. 3 reasons companies take this path: gain competitive advantage, gain legitimacy, and moral commitment to ecological responsibility to make sure that the world is a beautiful place for our children. Moving on to Slide 13. Stages of corporate environmental responsibility. We go from pollution prevention, focusing on minimizing or eliminating waste before it is created. Product stewardship, managers focus on all environmental impacts associated with the full life cycle of the product. And clean technology, businesses develop, innovate new technologies that support sustainability. We move on to Slide 14. Ecologically sustainable organization, companies that operate consistently with the principles of sustainable development is an ideal absolute standard against which real organizations can be measured. Some visionary companies are trying to achieve this. Support of government policies and widespread movement among many businesses and other social institutions will be needed for ecologically sustainable organizations to succeed. We move on to Slide 15. Environmental partnership, voluntarily collaborative partnerships with environmental organizations and regulators to achieve specific objectives. Draw on the unique strengths of the different partners to improve environmental quality or conserve resources. We move on to Slide 16. Environmental management in practice. Organizational elements of many proactive green companies. Top management involvement in sustainability. Line manager involvement, codes of environmental conduct, cross-functional teams, departments interacting with each other. A function is a department. Rewards and incentives, environmental audits to track progress. Publish combined sustainability reports integrating social and economic and environmental performance. We move on to Slide 17. Environmental audits, a way for green companies to track their progress toward meeting environmental goals. More recently, many firms have moved to integrate their social and environmental reporting into a single sustainability report. We now move on to Slide 18. Environmental management as a competitive advantage. Cost savings. Companies that reduce pollution and hazardous waste, reuse or recycle materials, and operate with greater energy efficiency and can reap significant cost savings. Product differentiation. Companies that develop a reputation for environmental excellence and that produce and deliver products and services with concern for their sustainability can attract environmentally aware customers, such as Starbucks with their shade-grown coffee, and such as other organizations that are put together in a portfolio of companies that are socially responsible. And these are mutual funds that are actually traded. Slide 19, environmental management as a competitive advantage. Technological innovation. Technological innovation can lead to imaginative new methods for reducing pollution and increasing efficiency. Reduction of regulatory risk. Companies that are proactive with respect to their environmental impacts are often better positioned than their competitors to respond to new government mandates. Strategic planning. Companies that cultivate a vision of sustainability must adopt sophisticated strategic planning techniques. Thank you very much and have a wonderful evening. That concludes this chapter, chapter 11. Have a good evening.